Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. Today on the channel we are going to be sharing with you one of the best kept secrets in survival and prepping food, and it's stuff which is still available. So let's get to it. Guys, one of the biggest mistakes that most preppers make is going out and looking for emergency food, which is not a bad thing into itself. The problem is you're going to be greeted by these companies who've mastered the art form of creating a product that looks good but doesn't necessarily taste good. It defeats the purpose if you buy survival food and you just puke it out because it sucks.
You ready wise. Disgusting.
You see this artwork right here? Most companies, they'll put so much work into the artwork. They'll put more into the artwork than they do into the food. They're not looking for the repeat customer. Now, today, I'm going to be sharing a secret product that most preppers don't know about yet. And honestly, it's one of the few companies that still has a little bit of inventory to spare. As you know, the food shortages and the price of food has been skyrocketing. So we're gonna be talking about one of the best kept secrets, and that is Peak Refuel. This is, in my personal opinion, one of the best tasting freeze-dried foods out there, hands down. As you guys know, in the past, I've celebrated brands like Happy Yak, I've recommended Mountain House. These are perfectly good, edible, high quality, freeze-dried food products. However, there's a new king in town, okay, that completely destroys these altogether. For starters, one of the downsides with Happy Yak, as great as it is they use some dehydrated components. Now, Happy Yak's expiration date is only 2 years, whereas Mountain House is 25 years. Now, if you recall, I've done a video on the truth about food expiration dates. Most of them you should just disregard altogether because they're not required by law in most cases, and most food, non-perishable food, will last far beyond the expiration date, and that includes Happy Yak in particular, as it is in a Mylar bag. Mountain House, they've been around doing this for 40 years. So they have all the certifications and everything they need to guarantee that the food is going to remain fresh and retain most of its nutrient density until the year 2051. Peak Refuel, they have 5-year expiration dates. But something to keep in mind with Peak Refuel is they don't use any dehydrated ingredients, as far as I know, maybe some spices and stuff like that. So realistically, based on what we know about food storage, this food should last 20 to 25 years because it's exactly the same as what Mountain House is selling you here. Things like this are gonna hold their value. I mean, consider that if you didn't eat this pack of food for 10 years, in 10 years, God only knows how much this food is gonna cost. Probably twice the amount, I would guess. If we even have meat at that time, if there's not some crazy, antimicrobial resistant superbug that comes along and wipes out all the cows. Who knows what's next, right? Let's talk about the logic of a small packet like this. Why would you want something in a small packet as opposed to a bucket? Well, obviously there's the portability factor. Is this something you're gonna buy in mass amounts? Well, if you have money, sure. But the small packets are ideally suited to an emergency situation where you might not have the ability to wash dishes, say. So eating something out of a package can be very beneficial. Also for hygiene purposes, everybody gets their own meal. For barter purposes, makes it easier. It's grab and go, and these things are very, very edible. In fact, they're so edible, I find myself eating them every day around here at the office. That's how good they are. If you're on a budget, disregard everything we're gonna talk about here today. Go down to your local wholesale store and just stock up on rice and beans. It's as simple as that. Now, the reason why Peak is so great is because they're very transparent about the amount of protein that's in the package. They're also very calorie dense. You get a lot more food in each individual meal. So while you pay more with Peak than you do other companies, you're actually getting a lot more for your buck. There's a very generous helping of meat in these packages, which is something that you don't see. The big emergency food buckets, they use fillers, they use soybean replacements to make up for the lack of real meat protein. And the fact that Peak still has inventory right now, this is probably one of the most important things. We still actually have Peak inventory because Peak is not marketed to preppers. Peak is marketed to the extreme sporting crowd, okay? They're trying to be like the Red Bull of the survival food industry. That's a good thing because other companies like Mountain House are struggling to keep stock. Basically, they're just shipping direct to customer now. They're not dealing with dealers because they just simply don't have enough inventory. With Peak, we have an ample amount of inventory because it's one of the best kept secrets in the industry, I'm telling you guys right now. And because it's such a new company, they haven't learned how to cut corners yet. And unlike Mountain House, they haven't succumbed to things like shrinkflation. So take a look at this beef stroganoff with noodles from Mountain House. 580 calories. Absolutely delicious stuff, right? Let's look at the beef stroganoff from Peak Refuel. 810 calories. And in this one, there's only 22 grams of protein. This one, there's 41 grams of protein. Mountain climbers, you know, dirt bikers, whatever, people who are out there in the backcountry, they want them to have this meal, enjoy it, and go and buy it again. Now, why is that important? Some people will say, it doesn't matter if it comes down to it, I'll just eat bugs, right? Sure, that may be the case. You may have family members who, you know, aren't as tough as you are, and they might need food that is a bit more morale boosting. You know, I've been wanting to make this video for a while because I've actually been secretly eating Peak Refuel around the warehouse here for the last 6 months, actually probably more like a year. And I've been trying to work out a deal with Peak because as much as I wanna just do all these videos for free, they cost money. I've been trying to encourage Peak to sponsor a video. They basically said no. Peak is kind of like that sexy lady who you know you shouldn't be messing with because she's gonna take most of what you got in the end, but you just can't resist. That's like me doing a Peak Refuel review because I know that when I expose them to the preparedness market, their business is going to skyrocket. And then I can phone them up and I can say I told you so, and they'll probably just hang up the phone anyway. So whatever, I don't care. Let's open it up and let's see what we got. We got one partially opened up here. Let's do this one. This is chicken teriyaki, all right? Now look at the chunks in there, guys. That's how you know a quality product. That's the chicken teriyaki. Let's check out the chili mac. I can see the communist cameraman foaming at the mouth. There's the chili mac. Now we got the breakfast skillet. This is one of the most densely packed ones. Surprisingly, only 640 calories. I'm not sure why, because it's got a lot of potatoes in it, but it's the most food. So there you can see, you got your eggs, your meat, your potatoes, really good stuff. All right, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna turn on the old EcoFlow Delta here, heat up our lime encrusted kettle with the EcoFlow Delta. If you haven't seen, we did a review on this guy not too long ago. The company sent us one, full disclosure. I cannot afford something like this, at least not right now. Now, one of the other benefits of Peak Refuel is that it requires a little bit less water than some of these other brands do. And that might be important if you're on the road and water is scarce. Obviously, it's not gonna be by a huge factor because you're gonna need water for any of these freeze-dried type meals, but I find that Peak in particular uses a lot less water. So for this one, for example, how much water does it say? 10 ounces. Whereas, let's see how much the Mountain House requires. 13 ounces, okay, for a smaller amount of food. Go figure. All right, so all we're gonna do, I usually just eyeball it because I'm lazy. And to be brutally honest, if you're in the field, you're not gonna have the luxury of having a measuring cup. They don't have any line in there that indicates. That might be a cool feature. And also, you don't need boiling hot water for this. It's gonna make it taste better, but the food is gonna rehydrate with cold water or hot water. And then we'll do the chicken teriyaki. What I usually do is I go like that. If I can't hear it swishing around, that's a good thing. Much rather have it too crunchy than too soft. So now it's starting to swish around. I might have put a little bit too much, but it's a good way to mix it up. Now there's usually a little ball of like seasoning in there that you really want to make sure you get mixed into the whole package so you get the whole flavor experience. Otherwise, it'll be kind of bland in one part of the meal, and then right when you get to the bottom of the bag, it'll be really salty because that's where that savory ball of spices are. So you can see by the looks of it, like this is the breakfast skillet. Like imagine, you know, you're in a castaway type situation, stranded on an island, and you're eating this every day. Now what I usually do, because they don't make spoons with handles that are long enough, I usually just take my knife, good old Benchmade bug out, the best EDC knife available, and I just go like that. You can only do that with a sharp knife though. Now I will say, when it comes to the chili mac, I still like the Mountain House chili mac better. That's the one exception of flavors that Mountain House wins. Everything else, Peak Refuel wins hands down. It's just better. So guys, I'm telling you. So I got $1 million Super Bowl ad idea for the people over at Peak. So you get this guy, right? He's in the apocalypse. He's, you know, scavenging buildings in a burned out city or something like that. He suddenly starts getting pursued by this band of scraggly caveman-like looking cannibals. And they get him, they back him into a corner, and you know, it seems like, you know, time's almost up for him. They're basically sharpening their knives and all that. And he pulls off his backpack and he says, wait, just 1 minute. I got something for you. And he pulls out a bag of Peak. And it's shining, and you put in the sound effects and all the rest. And the guys start pigging out on the Peak, and they eat them anyways at the end. But the tagline could be, Peak, it tastes better than people. Too soon for that yet? So guys, we have a limited supply of Peak. We have a pretty generous amount of it, but it's going to go fast, so I would encourage you to place your order as soon as possible. You can use coupon code SURVIVALPREPPER for 10% off. Load up while you can, while the getting's good. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Canadian Prepper out.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by gearing up at CanadianPreparedness.com, where you'll find high-quality survival gear at the best prices, no junk, and no gimmicks. Use discount code PREPPINGGEAR for 10% off. Don't forget, the strong survive, but the prepared thrive. Stay safe.